Welcome to late IHP Show with your 5D mystic, ready to chit chat a little bit more on air. Love front. So we're chit chatting today about how whether you are monoamory or polyamory, you know what love is. Not a game. And that being yourself, it does involve that which is not only love, but owning that body and ventral vagal state. Otherwise, the love part and mindset mastery and mind mastery isn't going to be a part of the equation. If you're new, then you don't know this, but anyone who's attachment trauma educated and is a safe haven seeker base for themselves is going to know not only how to love themselves first, but to actually be what true love is. Death to parts, sickness and health, better, worse, rich or poorer, doesn't matter, polyamory, monoamory, they have a body that wants to be safe because their own body's safe. So they know how to use their prefrontal, and that's why they know how to use their gut. Then they know how to be at rest and ease, like this beautiful crocodile spirit, and they know how to forgive, like Jesus shared. And then they know resh, healthy fear, light and darkness complement each other, no low frequency Buddha, future Buddha. So the people who pick up on low frequencies and ways of having monsters come about, I mean, they have not only stories, but they also have that which is called a mediocre lifestyle. They've chosen to stay like this. Okay, so when I think of awesome people, this Dan Martell, he was talking about his 5 daily non-negotiables that allowed him to move from being overweight and also sluggish to being 215 with abs and pretty much 45 healthier than 25. So he actually talks about himself as a 10.0 version. I'm a 45-year-old version of myself. So when your child parts don't die, just FYI love, it's not blind. It's your amygdala is alerted to that which is of interest. You got a good radar, so you know that healthy self-worth people, soul will recognize other souls. We're all the same soul, but those who are their child parts with their grown-up parts, meaning they got a prefrontal cortex. So child parts, the charges, okay, so I use a bit of this and that language, but it's all about you owning the sense of self. So once you are able to see how you can be, thanks to, so he's motivated by, looking at how one can get to a higher version. I don't talk about us as versions, but everybody has their way of motivating. The point, though, is that what he prioritizes and who he is as a leader. And so all of this got him to do smart things. And when people ignore the body, that's the sad part, because they don't realize that the body is the first part you need to start with. Because as long as your embodied brain is not yours, you're not wielding your true self, you're going to be basically Jekyll and Hyde. So the teenage boyfriend story I gave you, my facade friend today, and these are not even all of the stories. Twin flames, soulmates, people. So you have family souls, you have colleague souls. I could tell you a lot about mystic life, light body, light body, light body, rainbow body, kundalini awakenings. None of it matters, meaning the people who choose to stagnate, they're just going to stagnate. It's not fascinating. That's why mediocre people aren't dangerous. They're just boring to be around. At a certain point, they become basically what is their karma. But their karma isn't good or bad. It's that they're suffering life. So as they suffer life and then they continue with a bad radar, bad gut, to attract the very same low frequency they're at, it's all their child parts unhealed. So you have an adaptive child part leading who's protecting wounded child parts. So like my facade friend who gave up on himself, or the teenage boyfriend, it's not something I need to pity, because that's actually disrespectful. Since one, God chimes into my ear, but so does Akash Source. So Akashic Record Reader, there's a beginning of a book, there's an end of a book. You have the ability to choose Dharma when you use a prefrontal, because you still build karma, you just build good karma. So this is where there's different soul age groups. I have answers to why people won't move around. There's different soul age groups for countries. But at the same time, there's choice points. So free will is the fact that those who gain the opportunity to interact with each other. Okay, so right now you're interacting with this video. Now, I'm woo-woo pseudoscience because I fuck it up, I forget it, and I know who science is. But I have attachment trauma education, and I'm focused on saying, be you. Basically, you can inspire human potential. Be yourself. So love is not blind. My amygdala will be alerted to that which is of interest to me. That's actually normal. I'm a mammal. I'm biology. My body is smarter than anything on the face of this planet. The left is not the smarter one. The body is, and it's instinctive, which is why I don't have to question that which is my nature. But here's where people will insult cities and insult this and insult that. So as long as people are complaining and crapping on things that they are assuming they know everything about, they forget that they're, one, a human species, that we've evolved, but above all, so again, staying focused on human to human and social experiences and stuff that involve your love life. Okay, so friends, family, if you are a self-agent, you don't need to forgive. You don't owe anyone anything. They don't owe you anything. Nothing wrong happens when people are lying or not lying. This is why monoamory and polyamory, it's the same thing for anybody who is aware that if you're in a monoamorous, because you're monogamous dynamic, great for you. Polyamory, not all polygamist. Polyfidelity, okay, like this is the part of where nobody is on forums trying to vent it out in a way of, well, then again, people are socializing in the way that those of us who have friends socialize. So when you don't build your circle of friends, then I guess you need an outlet, right? Okay, and I do know the younger generation, because I'm 45, uses YouTube and whatnot and TikTok, but they have friends. So if people don't have friends, then that means that at home there's some, so I mean, this is the part, I'm not even going to go there right now, because it's not true. So when I see people complaining about online and that it ruined everything, it's just old farts who don't know how times change. And they're making out AI to be mean or to technology to be a threat and all this stuff, all this very not interesting stuff. So amygdalas are interested in intellectually intelligent, emotionally available, open-minded people, because that's what the amygdala of a 5D I'm talking about. Okay, so you don't have an attraction to people who are of a lower frequency, because they're actually, as you get older, just old farts who are boring. And they don't know how to be successful at anything, because they can't keep up with the change, because they're actually lamenting the entire way around. But also, as you get older, the neuroplasticity, once you've decided to shame bind yourself and you continue to use your survival mode, your body's just in that. So you're not unlearning it. You're continuing to conduct your day-to-day with it. Now, the thing is, your body's consistently healing on its own, so it doesn't really matter what I say or don't say. But it does matter what your ding, 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 your radar. And so for me, in my case, I am very lucky. I have a good radar. And so I do know also all my brothers and sisters, they all matter. And those who choose not to expand, that's their committed choice, because you don't make somebody choose to love themselves first and then to do Dharma, like my Pinocchio friends and my facade friend and teenage boyfriend. So people who will give up on themselves, they don't reclaim not only their true adolescent essence, they don't reclaim their child essence. Their child parts remain imprisoned in that which is a wounded younger child with a adaptive child part who thinks they're brilliant when they're not. As you disliking certain topics is clearly going to be a sign of your refusing that which is something you will perhaps need, which is why I bring science and spirituality together. They authentically support you to be yourself. So we have the Mystics, 5D Mystics Skeptic Nutritionist Diary because I'm skeptic, but I can tell you already day 4 in, it's pretty good, doing good with the energy levels, getting acclimated. So is there a difference? Because we're not going to have an entry. Yeah, there is. And you know, the biggest thing is you're obviously aware when you're just pouting for something in your head that you're just new. It's just new. So it's not, you don't struggle with yourself when you're a person who does, I'm going to be myself. You see, there's no self-doubt. You are also a smart consumer, so you know who a good professional is. I'm 45. My mother taught me what it looks like. So you know what it is to be a person who's responsible for yourself. So you can be responsible and be a good example for the herd, the right way, not the wrong way, by just using random words. Death, depart, sickness and health, rich, poor, better for worse. Teenager, boyfriend, he was teenager, I was teenager. He was immature. People who look at it as if he did something horrible. We were teenagers. Why are you judging a teenager? You think they're grown up already? You don't know how the adolescent brain works. There's a brain that's 11 to 25. Please don't give me they can do. No, they can't. If they got bad parenting, many do, when they're actually thinking that a kid who's allowed to scream in a restaurant or anywhere is bad. No, they're not. They're a kid. Good. They don't have pent up anger. Maybe we got one less murder because they didn't have the basically and shit their pants because they got angry or screamed or something. So it's not about not saying no. This exaggeration, compassion is what is needed, not shaming. Shaming, society has a way that it can teach us right or wrong, that people want to use words differently. So this is the part when people don't want the explanation to words that they prefer, but they don't notice that they're feisty about it for no other reason except for they're not open to more. It's pretty clear that you're not really with a good radar, because a good radar knows neutrality is the land of the truth because we don't need a charge. A bad radar has a charge, and so it's charge. It's leading, whether it's positive or negative doesn't mean anything. You don't know yourself well, you don't know another well, so you're charged. And if you're lacking that self-awareness, self-reflection, and then you don't notice the story you're telling in your head, I'm pretty sure you don't know what a soul is yet. Soul is silent and loves all, because we will always be the same. And so that's you're always a choice point, and I'm a choice point, which is why the answer to kind, unkind, free will, what do? You forgive, you turn the other cheek, and you remember biologically rude people don't know how to hold space for anybody else. They will be selfish. They're not being selfish in a way of trying to hurt your feelings on purpose. They're emotionally mature for a reason. Their brain was affected in its development. They can get the bright sides of neuroplasticity, yes. They need to want to go and do the healing. And as Hippocrates points out, everyone can say they want to heal, then discipline shows up. That's why Dan Martell, he's completely correct. Mediocre people, dangerous for the ones who are already within a fragmented version of themselves. It's like those teenagers, they just copy each other and wave like you just don't care. So emotionally elite people apparently is what the securely attached non-traumatized people are, because they're people who think that we don't exist. As you know, if somebody doesn't text us back, we're going to go, no, we don't. And actually, we're not insulted when somebody presents to us, I can't give you what you want. It's more of, wow, that's an easy cop out. But yeah, obviously you can't give me what I want. Too much, come again. You must be too little. There's a lot of different ways people will just, as you get older, I mean, I can't help this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, boy, you just don't realize what they do to me. So love's not blind and it's not deaf. It's actually quite accurate when you have a good radar, because your amygdala will be alerted to the teddy bear that likes the same cereal you do. That's studies that show it. I always have a radar on and my amygdala, which is why I don't doubt it. Also, God chimes in, always don't, but that's not it. It's different. But as we close on out, let me just finish with so yes, with my oversoul, even when I didn't know everything, I still knew that sooner or later I would figure all of the things that I had questions about. And when people wanted to accuse that which is people of the oversoul of being dark magic, black magic, whatever they call it, that's like, stop insulting your brothers and sisters. It's not nice. Nobody's doing any of this. And if you believe in hocus pocus, then I mean, that's the 4D bandwidth. So you can go hang out with 4D. Yes, there's no energy vampires, dark auras. It's all a big ball of energy. Didn't you hear? Plus, if you come with love, then you know what they come with. Fear, the unhealthy kind. You're meant to help them get up, not to keep them down. That's how winning is done, by the way. It's not by, right, how hard you can hit. It's how hard you can get it and keep it. No, it's not that either. It's how hard you can. It's not how hard. So when people want to say there's crabs in a bucket, those are all teenagers who are basically pointing fingers somewhere. But when you say I know everything and you're not liking what you're hearing and you're not noticing that, you're also being lacking that objectivity. So when I look to past, I love all equally, because there's no person that I've never said yes to in my oversoul. And so we're all imperfect and flawed. This is in general. When I think of all those different stories, it's actually hilarious, because once I did my LBLT, I found out that I have closed my masculine karma. And so I was like, that makes sense. As I saw one of my lifetimes. And as I saw this lifetime, I was like, yep, I knew there was a reason. I intuitively knew this. And so, yeah, reincarnation, meeting souls again, it's amazing. I mean, all my oversoul is here. And when you do know who soulmates, twin flames are, you just, it's not funny to see the ones whose light dims. And that's because, like dark matter, dark energy, or stars that dim, they're still there, but in a corner. They're their essence, and they don't bring it forth because they buried it so far down that, and then they just romanticize the good old days. Really boring, by the way. Yeah, because you can live it now, but love is not a game, so it's a commitment. You make a commitment to you, to life, and you don't dehumanize the oversoul. So you don't call people fake twin flame, real twin flame, divine counterpart, meaning that you know how you're lucky if you're having relationships, if you're a good rater, ding ding. So that's why you have healthy self-worth, and you know how to be yourself. And so secure, attached, non-traumatized people, as they continue to be self-led, they don't get confused, and they don't have stories about heartbreak, and they don't take anything personal to the extent of thinking that love and relationships are bad. So monoamory, polyamory, that's why there's not a competition. And when people are looking at society, as we have some who think we have to pick one or the other, or we have to make them into better or worse, that's ridiculous. There's always been differences for a reason. Now we know that if you really love, though, you're going to be a person who knows how to love yourself first. That's with body and ventral vagal state. That's with mind and brain, yours, and integrated. All in the sense of self. Otherwise, you're projecting your unfinished business, and you're carrying out as a 0-8-year-old would, which is really uninterested. It's unhealthy. It's ridiculous. As they get older, I'm healthy as can be. No, your heart attack waiting to happen. I drink 5 beers. Okay, they want me to, what do you want me to do with this? Like, I just think it's, why me? Why does it always happen to me? Okay, by the 10th time, I think you really need to stop, because Patrick Tian got a number from his friend, but that's the part of where it doesn't matter what you try to share with people. Like my facade friend, oh, you're just being too serious. Leave me alone. Let me be. Hostile, doomsday, doer, are we good, and the ghost. See, PTSD, it's a real thing. So people will see it all. They will continue to avoid it. And again, like Dan Martell points out, mediocre people and what you do daily is what makes your future self. So you can find excuses for yourself of why you're not going to do things you don't want to do. Or you can figure out that it's not really worth to throw your life away, because you have to make some choices that are of those grown-ups. Okay, so obviously here's where I'm going to say, for me personally, it's been easy. That's why I know for some people it's not. But it's not about the substances. For example, for those who have, whether it's drugs or alcohol, or I smoked cigarettes, I smoke cigars, drink a little alcohol, don't do any of the drugs. The inner critic, outer critic, that's bullshit. Watching shit that is fooling your mind with bullshit. Again, working nothing more than your low frequency. It's not interesting. It's a frequency that's low, and you're hooked on the wrong stress. No, I mean, the people that don't realize this, you and your amygdala are basically intrigued by something. But if you have an unhealthy pattern, due to the fact that you were surrounded by it, you want to unlearn it. And so that's why it's very straightforward how love is not blind, but it is also, by the way, unconditional. But the amygdala will be alerted to that which is intriguing, intellectual, emotionally available people, to those of us who are of the 5D collective, those who are going to raise their consciousness, those who are going to expand. Those who don't want to, they are going to continue being Diego's family. And backstabbers and liars are just cowards, and they're just looking at all those conspiracies and all those different divisive topics, which is why they're not really coming together to say, okay, we're all just different, because what would the world be like if we were all in our ventral vagal state with equanimity? It would be nice. That's exactly why we create our own community, like-hearted people, because we still have stories of mystics. So you don't lose people on your oversoul journey. You grow more of them, but you're also expanding your light body, because you're expanding, because your emotional body, though, is yours, and your mental, your physical. So as an Akashic record reader, you master all those planes. You don't need to do it with, oh, I'm all by myself, dark night of soul, ego death, oh, I'm the only one, our only group, our group is so special, our group is going through shadow night, bright side, da 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 da. When the ascension energies come about, yes, stuff comes up. Typically, it's trauma charges being released is what I'm going to tell you. It's not a perfect science, but that's why it's important to note, if you're okay with it and it's containing sensations, images, behaviors, affects, meanings, CBAM. If you can't contain, and this is very unfortunate, meaning that it's really a struggle, and you notice that you're not you're not improving, you get help, you get support. You don't become I'm the magical baton lady or guy, okay, which is where the spiritual bypassers are at. And so that's very straightforward. But the soul is definitely always going to lead you to more of your actual soul's purpose. It's only if you have the capacity to self-reflect, self-aware, self-expand, self-enlighten, self-regulate, that you will notice the true timbre of that which is God. He has no favorites. We're all God's children. And there's no monsters, because all attachment trauma, neuroscience, neurobiology is showing what happens to people. And there is not denying it. They prove it, and they're going to continue proving it. Those who want to use the stories to keep it divisive, or to tell you you need a story to understand good and bad. No, you don't. I can tell you words. It's if you treat people with respect, good. You know how to handle yourself. If you treat people with the idea that you know what good or bad is, you're grandiose and insecure. And so there's a very simple way. Bad means you are potentially hurting somebody mentally, emotionally. That's going to depend on their sensitive ego. Physically, don't touch them. There's laws that respect people's spaces. The part about when people are getting into hissy fits about the way that they can handle each other, all we need is Terra Real to go and educate people on how to be functional adults. We're going to be good. Yes, nobody's going to get in a hissy fit, or Dr. Daniel Fox for the community who needs him. So when you are emotionally regulating and mentally, you don't need a babysitter to continue mediating between you and others. When on the other hand, you got people who think they know everything. That's why we get to see them on YouTube having a good time as they share their stories. But at the end of the day, I got to learn from all of the stories from today to more than just those, how to continue choosing to accept, love, and respect all equally. We are opinions, walking and talking subjectively, and then we are choice points for each other. And so when you inspire each other, that's great. Mediocre people inspire each other to be mediocre. People who are not mediocre, we inspire each other to be intelligent. And that doesn't mean we know everything. It means that you are learning how to access and harness that which is the mind that has mindset and integration, though. And so with spiritual and personal growth, as a 5D mystic mentor, content creator, podcast host, and spiritual enlightenment soul age group, you can access the flow state, but you need to make sure your body is ready for it. And so that's why the EMDR child part somatics is the first step. And then once you know how your body works, so like for me, panic attacks is easy to be familiar with. Right now with the whole nutritionist stuff, I'm pretty sure we'll find out, but I think it's going to be like, okay, people, so it's a lie. We cannot live off of air. Please do recognize this. You can eat meat. It's okay. Nothing then bad's going to happen to you. You can eat vegetables. You can actually, there's a not one size fits all, right? You do realize that you're unique, like for real. The whole new world, a magic place. What's sad is that when you can tell someone, look, there's nobody like you, but they don't believe it, because that's what shame does. It's what shame does to people in their hearts. And that's why jealousy, there's no need for it. Nobody can replace you. You're irreplaceable. This is the word and the words of anyone who's an empowered person. The ones who don't believe it, they're the fallen angels who need help getting up. They can get up because the scientists show us how they can get up. The ones who don't want to see them get up, I'm so sorry for those people, because they're even worse off. They will get up. So I was telling a story. Let me finish that one before we go. But when you see people throwing someone in the mud, because they've decided to condemn. So remember the story from Sadhguru, the thief, the compulsive thief, all these disciples who have a guru, they're not listening to the guru who says you have, the master says you have to forgive him. They're like, no, he's going to steal again. So they decide on their own, which is what all the pseudo-intellectual people, I'm pseudoscience for a reason, but the dogma people, the ones who want to give you their list, who want to say that we can't use the word God however we want, or divinity, all the ones who basically don't understand how to use two sides of brain. If you're securely attached, non-traumatized, and empowered, you don't give a shit about what words people are using because you know how to use words yourself. Then you know how to use your brain and thoughts, and then you remember you don't know everything. It's a pretty straightforward deal. In fact, I don't really do any of this, by the way, because when I meet a person who's limited, I don't want to waste my time. And I'll notice it immediately because it'll be the way they interact with me that will make me aware. And I don't want to be all colloquial and eloquent. I like to use words however I want. Not interested in being perfect, because if I wanted to say in academia, I would have. And I would have been a proving person with researchers. That's not what I chose on purpose. I like to have fun in life. So when you meet those who, the more the fancier they get, oh, believe me, they're dressing it up. If they're in one of those moods, leave it alone. Just allow yourself to notice. Are you doing good? You self-master yet? Did you do that? Great. That's what you want. Oh, they don't like it. As I was from teenage years to grown-up years, and I didn't meet that many because after my facade friend, I was like, okay. I figured out all these people, and then I got all attachment trauma educated. So when you have anyone who's an empowered feminine, they don't play these games. That's why I love, again, it's not a game. I'm investing my time because I want to. Don't lie to me. Please appeasers lie to you. Shame submitters, they lie too. Anyone who's insecure is a liar. You got a mask on. I know what your mask is now. I can't do anything about it because luckily for me, I know exactly what I'm dealing with. Oh, hey. Yeah, Cusco, you know what? You're a pacha. You're a pacha, right? So you learn how to handle adolescents when you're an adolescent because they are completely annoying. I'm annoying to the people who don't understand how to be themselves. Because they don't understand, yeah, you don't have to suffer life. Just use your prefrontal, Zen master. Stop with the laundry already. There's people who are actually needing help because their survival mode had to kick in. Yours doesn't really. You're Zen. Aren't you Zen? Where's your Zen? That's how, if only I was a big monster. But that wouldn't accomplish anything. That's just being an asshole for no other reason except for I met another asshole. You see what I'm saying? So when you see people being assholes, and they're picking on a person who needs not being picked on, because all the defects in the world will make it very clear that those who have the biggest of them need the most help getting up. And the ones who don't want to help them, they're the actual hypocrites of the entire situation who will be on the ends and the extremes, and they will stand with their batons and they'll say, how dare you take a side? And I will look at them in no other way except for, I don't take sides. I'm neutral. I have no opinions, That's how it works here. Because that's how it works when people think that they are right. Now, if you're a teenager, we all were ignorant too, but I'm saying these are grown people who don't notice their charges and that they have a side that they prefer. We all can have a side we prefer. When you're justifying your actions and not noticing that you don't know everything. So when it comes to people, there's always a reason for their maladaptive patterns of behavior. They were treated like that, and then they did a lot of other stuff. They can get healed. It's not to justify what they're doing or not. I'm saying there's an answer to why you want to maintain humility if you're a person who's actually, one, in our 5D Christ consciousness, but two, yourself in a mature way. And so it's called, sovereignty to some, and compassion and empathy and all that good stuff. But the people that treat people like shit, that's not necessary. You can reiterate and make your healthy boundaries clear by speaking them. So at the end of the day, I was able personally to stand up in some occasions for people. Doesn't mean anything came out of it, but we are choice points is what I was trying to get to. Your soul and the oversoul is choice points. And you choose to rise above, and that means to continue being in your equanimous stance, not because you're rising as if you're better than anybody. Although those who are insecure will tell you, I have some of my friends are like, sometimes though you do make it seem like you're higher than us. I say, no, I'm not higher than anybody, but I'm on a high frequency. Yeah, I'm in a love frequency. It's all the time, not just sometimes. So, it's not that I'm higher. And that's where confidence is felt and perceived by those who Well, if you don't rise from within your own self, that's why your child parts, they all live through you. If you don't become your grown-up version, you're not holding your child's hands and you're not reassuring your 0-1-year-old, and you don't ever move into this capacity feeling wise. And so there's always more of a teenage version that still has room for growth, but that growth is a figure of speech one, but it's a practice visualization podcast with meditation, mindful mindset, which is why it's about you hearing and then relating to those conversations that we have here, but knowing it's about the body and your story. And then it's not just your heart needs to feel it. This is very funny because your person, it's your actual essence. It's your actual 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's your child parts who are still children. I know it sounds weird, but they're saved like popsicles in time. For those of you who might be the first time you listen, so I can recognize when my child parts come up, and that's when in an emotional state. And so it's like, oh, look, that was interesting. Ooh, I want to grow her up a little bit more. And so you have fun with it on that level. So it's really fun with your oversoul. You get to do a lot. Empowered feminines don't have questions for others. They always just talk to God and source and Akash, and then to the 5D collective, because the 5D collective doesn't cast stones and think that some people are better than others. They actually recognize that every person will have walked somewhere. So when those who are hypocrites are around, it's unfortunate because you have to be polite, because obviously they're hypocrites because they didn't notice that they haven't claimed who they are yet. When you notice the ones who are still choosing, this is the part of where they're the ones who are going to make that last final call. You can't convince anyone, like Bezel van der Kolk points out, like I told you with my stories with the teenage boyfriend, the facade friend. You can't make choices for people. They have to choose to notice their pattern and then say, oh, it's not whoa me, it's okay. I'm going to go therapy, EMDR, child parts work, somatics, and once I'm ready to continue, I can do more, and you can always accompany any of our stuff with that. There's plenty of people that add thought exercises, visualization, but still working with somebody who helps you work through all of the nervous system and expanding your window welcome and that good stuff. But at the end of the day, yeah, love definitely not blind. Our amygdala alerts us to what's of interest. My 14-month-old, amazing radar, good radar here. Soul, great. Always brought me to where I wanted to be, continuing to do so. So you get to be yourself. Again, the smart way, it's using love, mindset, all of it, you wielding it, and that involves emotions, body, and ventral vagal state. So you continue to expand and feel deeply, and there's no looking back and saying, but if only. It's more of, I'll know, and I do. And so cosmic karmic balancing, it's always at play. And that's why Dharma's here. Woohoo! So we'll be back with more. In the meantime, have a good one.